Let the hamster off the wheel. Life is too short. Welcome to Simplified Sparky Marketing. Coming to you live from Ireland for this podcast and probably for a few different podcasts. You might get one from Malta as well. Let's see how I'm feeling. I want to speak about being busy but not profitable and what I like to call the busy bubble. And it's something that's so fucking common, and it's something that I've gone through as well in business, is being incredibly busy but you're not really making money, but you're not too sure if you are making money or not making money, but you think when you look at your bank account, there should be money in there. Kind of is, but your P&L is skewed. So I want to kind of touch on just being organized in the back end. And I am a Nazi when it comes to that in my business. And that's the reason I am able to, for instance, take these 5 weeks off and travel through Europe again every year, and take 2 weeks off at Christmas and just have that flexibility within my business that I don't have to work weekends and have that time off that I can spend with family, friends, or do traveling or whatever I want to do. And it's a common misconception that the more staff you have in business, the more money you're going to make. But usually it ends up the more staff you have, the more headaches you're going to have within your business. But it all comes down to you as the business owner of how well you want to oil up that the back end of your business and your systems. Because something that I say to my members inside Simplified Sparky is it's systems are so easy to do, and it's something we're going to be doing, which is fucking exciting me, is creating a little micro systems for Sparky's course, because it's so easy to do. It could consist of a 30-second video, just how somewhere that's easy to find for your staff. And I'm going to dig into it in a separate podcast about systems and the 6 or 7 steps that you do need to systemize in your business, or how you do systemize it. But it's something that I see it's all too common is businesses start, they kind of, you start without a job management software. You wonder, should you get Xero because it's too expensive for your bookkeeping? So you wing it. And you just get these contacts in from work, or you get referrals, or you start working with a builder, a strata, or real estate, and you're chugging along, but you're not really making money. But in the back of your mind, you're like, I'll make money soon. It'll be fine. Shit will click together, but it really won't unless you stop and have a look at your business from the outside looking in and go, what can you do to improve your business? What simple systems can I put into place that's going to make me more efficient and profitable? An example of this is I was part of a coaching platform a few years ago, and I was doing a course. It was in 2020. I was doing a course with several other Sparkies, and we were going through the course. I don't think we were even at the end of it. It was probably maybe halfway. And they were like, you need to get staff. You need to get staff. Everybody needs to get staff. You need to hire. And I was like, oh, well, looks like I need staff because these guys are telling me to do so. So I went out, I put an ad on Seek, Indeed, put an ad running on Facebook ads as well, and had some applicants come through, kind of weeded through them. At this time, to be honest, it was actually a good time to find staff, because I think it was during COVID that a lot of companies were letting go of pretty decent staff members. So I had a few applicants come through, interview this guy, half-assed interview because I didn't have a system in place, and I was told, which I agree but disagree on, of like hire on gut feel and hire on the hope that staff member has got a good attitude and he or she will come through with the goods when you hire them. And that wasn't to be, I can tell you. So I hired that person, and it was just a horrible experience. And the main reason it was a horrible experience was I'm pointing the finger fully at me to be like, I wasn't ready and I didn't have the systems ready to fire in my business. And when I hired the second person, I had everything perfectly in place to hire them. And that guy didn't work out either. But it's just a case of like, it's trial and error. And that literally was the final nail in the coffin with me and staff, is like my visions and dreams of this podcast right now wouldn't be here if I had gone ahead and hired more staff, stressed the shit out of myself, and I would have never had time to do what I'm doing right now. And I absolutely love what I'm doing now. So what I would advise to you as well is with systems, and systems is going to be a whole separate podcast, but with systems, you systemize the stuff that you're currently doing. You don't systemize stuff that you would like to do. I gave this example on a podcast that I was on of when I first got wind of systems and started obsessing with systems. I didn't really do my homework on it. I just was like, I need to systemize everything. So I developed a system in my business to replace a thermostat and an element in a hot water system. It was probably one of my first 2-3 systems that I built. And I made it out, and I had pictures of a hot water tank, and I had pictures of the thermostat, and I had a step-by-step process of shut off the water valve, release the pressure, turn off the power, etc., lay a towel out in case there's any leakage, have this tool ready, have that size socket ready, get the thermostat at hand, get your element at hand, get ready to do a Formula 1 style change on the element. And truth be told, I don't think I've changed a hot water element since I made that system. And that is the lesson I tell to people is systemize stuff that you're doing already, and don't worry about stuff that you'd like to do down the future, with the exception of hiring staff. That is where you do create a system, or you speak to another electrician that you know is running a good business. And as I stress, you know is running a good business. Don't speak to a guy that's running a messy business and you're like, hey, how did you take on your staff? And they'll just say, just fucking take them on, see what happens. That's what I did, and it didn't work. So what I would suggest to you is when you are hiring a staff member, you should have your system housed on a task management or task management or project management software, and have a step-by-step process, and each step of the process will lead to the next one. So for example, the first step is obviously going to be running a job ad. So you would have your job ad template ready to fire inside in that line. You would then move to the next module, which would be, okay, cool, you've identified 3 or 4 people that would be a good fit for your business. Next step is the interview questions. It might only be, you might have what we call a triage call. It might only be like a 15-20 minute call to get a feel of that client, or feel of that sparky, to see if they're a good fit for your business. When you get on that call, you might have 3 or 4 or 5 killer questions that you ask that will identify them straight off the bat if they're a good fit or not. From there, we go to the next line. It's like, okay, that was a success. Let's move to the next line. And that's going to be, let's set up an interview, be it with Zoom or in person. So you set up that interview, and along with that, you've got your set of, let's just say there's 10 or 15 questions that you ask on that interview. You've got those questions ready to go. Let's say hypothetically you interview 3 or 4 people. One of them's a standout. Okay, now you want to make them a letter of offer. When you make them a letter of offer, you will then have your contract ready. You will have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. Luckily, my wife is in employment law, and she ripped the generic contract apart, and she found about 16 holes in it that I'm not going to name the organization that give it out for free, but you can get this from an organization, and it's a free contract that they hand out, and apparently it is a piece of shit. So be mindful of that if you are using that contract to get signed, because my wife is very thorough with stuff like that, and she found fucking lots of holes in that thing and lots of policies that are missing as well in that. Anyways, I won't get into that. So from the contract, you get them to sign the contract. Next line item is, what does their first day look like? Are you onboarding them correctly? And this is where it flicks across to your other systems of, all right, this guy is starting, let's move on to our system. So do we make him aware? We add him into, let's say you're using ServiceMate, you add him in ServiceMate. Either they have experience with ServiceMate or they don't. Now you've got to train them in ServiceMate. So you might have a micro crash course because you don't want them to know ServiceMate inside out, upside down. You just need the 80-20 principle of they need to know the essential shit that they need to use day to day. So they might only need to know how to look up your pricing, how to look up or how to add a picture, how to check into a job, how to notify the client they're on the way. Maybe if you're getting them to invoice on the spot as well, how to invoice. There might be, let's just say hypothetically, 15 items that they must know when they actually are onboarded within ServiceMate. Have you got your swims and stuff, depending on the kind of work that you do? Are they onboarded into that? Have you got their uniform sorted out? That's probably a line item that should have been before that. That it's like, okay, you in your letter of offer and they agree with it, they then get a uniform form sent to them of their sizes that they send back. They fill out, like, it could even be as simple as a Google form that says, what size jumper are you? What size pants are you? What size waist are you? They send that back. Cool. Okay, we can get those uniforms ready ASAP. What's their start date? What's their hourly rate? What are the conditions around annual leave? How do they take annual leave? Like, do they have to let you know 3 months in advance, or can they let you know 2 weeks in advance? These are the kind of things that you need to have in place, but these are the kind of things that you can create your own system for this. This is one of those exceptions that your onboarding process with a staff member is something that you create. And with the rise of AI as well, utilize AI, ask it to be your little assistant of what would be the best procedures to onboard a new staff member. And it will most likely give you an 80% good enough step-by-step of these are the bullet points that you should do. And then you create your processes around that of how you do it within your company. But this is what I'm talking about of, like, if you are a staff member and you didn't do anything of what I just said, it makes you look like a shitty company as well when they come on board, and it just looks like a bit of a Wild West outfit, and you kind of set the bar and you set the tone. Because with systems, when your company is extremely systemized and they come into that environment, they're like, holy shit, this is lean, this is good. And the shitty thing about, like, trying to bring systems in when your company is growing and growing and you've got several staff members is you'll get the old schoolers in there that will be like, fuck, we always did it this way anyway, what about it? I'm just going to keep doing it the way we always did it. And you're like, did you fill out that form? Did you do this? Did you check that? Did you check this? And they're like, nah, I didn't bother. And you're like, oh, well, I can't fire him because he's really good. And then that spills. It's cancerous in a company if you've got one fuckwit like that. I've worked with a few companies like that years ago, that there's one dickhead and they're cancerous in the company, and it just spreads. It just, like, oh, don't bust your ass doing that. You're not getting paid enough for that. And then he tells that person, and it's just those kind of people in the company, they need to go. They're just a really bad fit for your company. That's quite interesting as well. So put up a little poll on Instagram just for some questions and stuff. And I was asked a question during the week, and I don't know, was it a dig or was it a genuine question? But somebody asked me, have I any experience with, 5+ staff in a company? And as I said, I don't know if it's a dig or a genuine question. And it's funny because I started the business at the start and I was kind of tiptoeing around revealing that I'm essentially a one-man band with a virtual team. And I don't care about that anymore. I don't care about big dick syndrome of, like, look at me, I've got 65 staff and 72 vans, even though that doesn't add up. And my whole thing at business and life is to create a fucking beautiful back end of your business and just have the business humming along. Hence why I call it a flywheel. Is you've got the before stage of when you're attracting the clients, the correct clients. Then you've got the during stage when you're dealing with clients. But if you don't have your systems in place, or you're not handling these leads correctly with systems, you've just dropped the ball and you've lost the lead. What was the point in paying thousands of dollars for Google ads or Facebook ads, and they've come in and you've just fucking dropped the ball because you haven't handled that lead correctly, or you don't have somebody in place to answer the phones while you're in a meeting, or you're in a roof or under a house or wherever. So it's very important that all that kind of stuff is in place. But yeah, I think with me as well, a lot of stuff like imposter syndrome crept in, but I went back in my back into the business, and particularly in my accounting software. And I've literally sold millions of dollars of electrical work to individuals, many, many individuals. I'm talking nearly 2,000 individuals. So it's like, I don't really care if someone has an opinion of what does this guy know? If he doesn't really know what he's talking about. I know my audience, and I know the people that are attracting to me are similar businesses or staff of 1 to maybe 3 or 4 staff. And I think that's my sweet spot with individuals, is that's where I'm at. That's the people that I can move the needle the farthest with, are the people that are maybe 1 to 4 staff members that are just looking to secure up the back end and just get a beautiful system running in the business, that it runs efficiently. And this is what it's about for me. Like, I keep harping on about this, but I really want to hit home with a lot of people as well, as life is extremely short. And that was only concluded with me a few years ago. Like, the reason I am doing this and I'm doing business is, like, I want the business to suit my lifestyle, not my lifestyle suit the business. So as I said, right now I'm off for 5 weeks and I do this every single year. And there's a lot of people out there that would absolutely kill to be in this position. but they've buried themselves so deep into their business that it's very, very hard for them to take a fucking day off, not to mind a week off. And like, the thing is, I guess you can take a week off or 2 weeks off or whatever, but if you're knee deep in your emails and stuff, that's not a holiday. You've literally taken your business on tour with a nice view. So, and it's not fair on the family. It's not fair on you, because you deserve a break for having building this business and putting the time and effort into it. But life is short, so have a good think about like what you can do. Can you piss off that real estate that's complaining about your fucking invoices every single week, that you're not making money for? Can you get rid of a shitty staff member that's basically dead wood in your business, that's not making any money? What can you do to lean up your business, or add a system in there that it's going to make it leaner and more efficient? And it's something I'm seeing, which is oh so common as well, is teams of like 5 or so. You almost need like shitty builder work or real estate or strata there as well. Like, when I say shitty builder work, just having a shitty builder on hand. You might work with good builders as well, but one of those ones that you get fed a bit of work, but you're not making any money on, because if you didn't have those contacts, then you wouldn't be able to keep your full team busy. Like, fuck, is it a case to get rid of a staff member and get rid of that real estate, because you're breaking even anyway and just creating more stress? So hope this podcast wasn't too ranty, but I just wanted to get you thinking and getting the cogs moving of like, what is the purpose of you in the business, and what are you trying to achieve? What's the long-term goal? Because life is short, so make sure you nail that goal.